So next is Raw, and this was after the pay-per-view, coming out of the pay-per-view. So Rollins came in. Basically what happened here is Rollins comes in and put himself over. AJ comes out to put Rollins over. They're being like kind of respectful of each other, and the Judgment Day come out. And basically he said, Priest did most of the talk. He said but Balor said what he was seeing was making him puke, and he said after watching the blood, and Priest said after watching the Bloodline implode on Sunday, Judgment Day now runs the entire WWE. And Ripley said one of the Judgment Day members would take the title from Rollins, and Ripley mentioned Dominic as a possibility. Rollins and Styles laughed. Dom pointed out that he beat Styles. They started chanting, "You suck" for Dominic at Good Heat. So,
right.
Balor said they wanted Rollins and Styles to beat each other half to death on Saturday, and Dom said they would finish the job tonight. And Styles said that sounded like a challenge, and Rollins said it did, and they accept. So they basically they accepted the match for later on. It was going to be Rollins and Styles against two of the members of the Judgment Day, but they weren't going to tell you who they were going to be. What'd you think of this?
What do you think of this segment?
I mean, it's all right. It's good mic work, but it's like I'm not a big fan of the guys that just fought each other. Now they're teaming up, and I don't know. It seems like lazy booking just to get. It seems like they booked the match and figured out a way to get to it, and it was kind of lame, to be honest with you. What do you think?
I'll tell you. So you remember how I always say Roman Reigns takes a sweet ass time getting into the ring,
right?
Bro, it took Seth Rollins, and I'm not kidding you, almost like 6, 7, 8 minutes to get into the ring. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But of course, the crowd stopped singing it after the song, which is really cool. There wasn't really much on the mic work. There was no fighting between the two. It was a little on the average side, this segment. And the draft, what brand split? I mean, it's kind of a joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
It's almost like the draft is a pop-up rating. I like this. The only reason I see the draft now is because I like to see who gets promoted from NXT. But other than that, it just seems anybody can cross any brand, especially the bigger names.
Yep.
Right.
Am I wrong here?
They never stick to it,
Right.
Yeah, interesting. So Ricochet versus The Miz Adam Pearce is in the back and he's trying to get the match approved. Ricochet versus Miz in the Money in the Bank qualified match. Bro, Miz loses every match he's in now.
Right.
Yeah, dude, he's
I didn't know.
He's 0-14 or 0-15 in 2023. Something like that. Yeah, he has not won a match this year.
Let me just say that the Miz they kind of had him on the corny comedic side. You know what I'm saying? Because he was looking to get back on track when he qualified for that Money in the Bank match, and then the Loomis thing started off good and had like a Sopranos ending or Lost ending. Nothing. I thought this would be boring, and it wasn't, bro. Miz still brings it. He's such a valuable talent for them, but he needs to get some heat. Miz hit a Hurricanrana whenever you've seen that DI out of nowhere, and he hit a springboard crossbody, which is different for him. Like, he ain't resting on his laurels.
Right. So there's a lot of stuff I'm reading here I did not see on Hulu. But they had what do they got here? Stratus came out and she said thank you, Trish on the back of her shoes. She said when the fans say those work, they mean nothing to her. She said she told the fans she would beat Lynch and then did so. And Trish said it's what you do when you're the greatest of all time and you're number one, and when you're it. Trish said Lynch can crawl back in her dark hole and go through her stuff. And she said it was time to give the real superstar a shot at the big time. Zoe Stark was introduced by Trish, and she came out wearing a Thank You Trish t-shirt under her vest. She asked who better to learn from than the OG herself, and Stark said she could have taken the long, difficult road like Lynch did, or she could be smart and be led by Stratus. Stark labeled Trish as a humble, giving, and kind. Now that I have the floor, I just want to say one thing, Stark said. Thank you, Trish. Stark pointed out the big bruise that Trish had on her left side of her face, and Trish said if Lynch showed up, she'd have Stark show her what's up. Then Becky Lynch made her entrance dressed in the NOC gear and said she would ruin Stark's life. And Lynch said she was in her year, and so was Trish. And then suggested they restart the match and finish it one-on-one. And Stark headed to ringside, was quickly dropped by Lynch. Then Lynch entered the ring and ducked a shot from Trish before running the ropes and putting her down. Then Stark returned and helped Stratus double-team Lynch, and Stark gave Lynch her Z360 finisher. Trish and Starks roughed up Lynch and placed a Thank You Trish shirt on where she was down the corner, so they got heat on her. What do you think of this?
I didn't think it was that good. I don't think Trish comes off as a heel. I do like that first line, "Thank you, Trish. I don't care what you say or whatever." That was funny. But I had my first question is, why was Trish in the Saudi Arabia gear that she wrestled in and in high heel boots if she wasn't going to wrestle? And also Lynch was in her gear from Saudi Arabia. What was the deal there? Anyway, did they lose their clothes or something?
Maybe they lost. Yeah, exactly.
And they couldn't order any. I've always liked Trish, always, but I didn't really like this promo. And here for sure, it sounded like boos were piped in because people were not booing.
Right.
And I think they're just trying to get her over. Starks has a really unique look, like a kind of tomboyish. Is that okay to say word or no?
I think you can still say tomboy. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. And she's very physical, so she'll be able to have the type of matches with Lynch that Trish can't, or they can tag. Let's see.
What do we got here? So this did not make it to Hulu, but the new Indian group had basically a squash. They beat the guys in 15 seconds.
Indusure, and they're sponsored by Insure. Nothing. So this was a wrestling squash, but with the reason I say wrestling squash because it's a wrestling squash with moves. You know what I'm saying? Right. And like back in our day, it was just a Desert Storm street beat down dog walk. You know what I'm saying? So this had like some moves in it. Bro, what they fought these two jobbers who were already in the ring when they came out. And one of them, I swear, looked like Matt Hardy from like early 2000. By the way, Matt Hardy's still on the disco list.
Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm. He's one of the originals.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way off for him.
So next was trying to figure out where we are here. Owens and Zayn come out. Zayn said they were feeling good and they won the Night of Champions, the worst night of Roman's life. Zayn said Reigns might be the greatest of all time and hold the championship for another 1,000 days, but whenever he sees their faces, he'll know in his heart that they won. Imperium shows up and they're kind of disgusted that Owens and Zayn have the championship. Zayn said Imperium should be focused on their match against Alpha Academy, and Zayn also recalled when he and Owens teamed with Matt Riddle and embarrassed Imperium. Kaiser said Riddle is an embarrassment, as are Owens and Zayn holding the tag titles, and Owens said they always hear from slender men and sometimes the one with ears talks, but the bald one with the head over here never talks. Owens indicated he wanted to know what Vinci thought. Leonardo da Vinci, your favorite here. Yeah. Owens and Zayn led a baldy chant, and Kaiser got upset and said no one disrespects Imperium. Then Chad Gable let out a shoosh from the stage, where him and Otis and Maxine came out, and that led to the match between Ludwig Kaiser and Leonardo da Vinci against the Alpha Academy, and Ludwig Kaiser and Leonardo da Vinci beat them in 5 minutes. What did you think about it?
Did you see this?
Yes, but I fast-forwarded to you. I knew he was going.
Okay, yeah, I'm a fan of obviously of KO and Sammy. I think you are too, but this was too long. And the only good part was when KO was mad because they came out without being called,
Right.
There wasn't much to this. I don't know why, but Valhalla, I think that's her name, the manager of the Viking Raiders, she just came out and she started running after Maxine to the back. And I'm like, huh? And why?
That was it? Maybe there's something going on there that we don't know about.
Well, what I'm thinking now, because how something WWE had gotten away from this, that's probably enough to do a Raiders Alpha Academy feud,
Right.
Right. They gave Otis the hot tag, and he had a really rough time doing the worm. Question, what happened to the Maximum Male Models? I thought they were great. Yeah. And KO and Sammy were very funny on commentary. So it looks like Imperium versus KO and Sammy, which would be good for Imperium because they'll get a rub. And Raiders and Alpha Academy. And I think both will be good programs. So
next they have Raquel and Shotzi interviewed in the back. Bailey and Io Sky showed up. They had words. Then they had a Candice LeRae vignette. She said she believes if fairy tales are real because she's living one. And then they had the 4-way for the women's tag titles with Raquel and Shotzi against Ronda and Shayna versus Bailey and Sky and Sonya and Chelsea. Ron and Shayna go over in this. I think that's the right team won because they want to push them together. And what did you think about this? Well, I thought the match was not good, not bad. Okay. But here's the thing that really stuck out to me, Disco. For a match with the titles on the line, even though you know who would win, no team seemed to have any sense of urgency, trying to win it. You know what I'm saying? They look like the Celtics in Game 7. Larry Dallas was very disparaging of the Boston Celtics when he was on. They lost first, and we beat them. Yeah, they lost first. Like if it was a normal match with no title on the line, Shotzi did that tope through Raquel's legs again.
which is a Mexican move. Io Sky looked good here. That's what it was. I like the elbow that Bailey dropped on Ronda from the top. That was great. And I love when this Shotzi went to do the senton, or as they say in the United States, santon, and Rousey caught her in an armbar, made her tap. That was a good finish.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So next was Rousey and Shotzi backstage celebrating for their championship. Gunther, what you call it? Oh, I'm missing all this. Hang on, I guess I got ahead of myself here. Oh, okay, I got ahead of myself. Okay, this did not make it a Hulu, but JD McDonough fought Dolph Ziggler to a 1 minute count out. They were fighting out. He kept running his head into the steps, and after the match, McDonough placed Ziggler in the bottom piece of the steps and stomped the side of his head. What'd you think of this?
But you know why he did that, right?
Because he did. No, I didn't see this.
Don't you remember when Ziggler attacked him?
Oh, yeah. Then they had
that battle royal.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So next is Cody comes out with his arm in the sling. He mentioned losing to Lesnar due to ref stoppage and said his contemporaries told him he was foolish for fighting Lesnar with one arm, not tapping out. He said the pain was excruciating, but he didn't tap out because that's not the man he wants to be. And he said he probably would have tapped out earlier in his career. Then Cody recalled a wildly popular superstar used to stand in the ring and say never give up. And Cody said he had a question for Brock. He said he looked into the camera and asked a question because Lesnar wasn't there, and Cody assumed he was on his annual vacation. Cody asked Lesnar if he's satisfied with this now and that they both have wins over one another, and he issued an open challenge to him and said he would post his schedule for the month online and hope the Lesnar sees it. Cody said wherever he goes, he's ready to fight Lesnar. Said he wanted to make it the last time he rattles off Lesnar's accomplishments and then ran through some of them. Cody said Lesnar is beast enough to break his arm, but not man enough to make him tap out. And Cody said if Lesnar doesn't accept his challenge, and they can add that Lesnar's afraid of him to Lesnar's list. And Cody dropped the mic and played at the crowd. I think this is silly, to be honest with you. It's like challenging Brock Lesnar with a broken arm. It's like, so I don't get it. Well, what do you think?
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna wrestle him with a broken arm now?
He's challenging him.
Well, yeah, open challenge or whatever. Yeah. I don't think
that's a little bit.
Yeah, I think they'll. Yeah. I don't think they'll do that though. I think they'll hold off till he's ready. You know?
Well,
they were saying SummerSlam, if Bray doesn't come back, it'll be Brock and Cody again, maybe. You know.
So backstage, Kathy Kelly interviews Riddle, and Gunther walks in and said beating Riddle and humiliating him is fun for him, and wished him the best because I guess he's like going to be wrestling him soon.
How about when he said this is going to be a hot bro summer? Nothing.
Yeah, right. Shinsuke against Bronson Reed qualifier match, and Shinsuke goes over here. I'm surprised at that. I thought they'd put Bronson Reed over because they've been pushing him.
Me too.
Yeah. So, but kind of an upset. Gave him two of the knees to the face. Go ahead.
This is actually what I thought when it happened. When Bronson and Ricochet started to wrestle, if you remember at the beginning, Reed Desert stormed Ricochet, and I thought, oh my God, they're going to squash poor Ricochet, and I thought it was going to be a squash.
Right.
I mean Nakamura. Did I say Ricochet?
Yeah.
Nakamura.
Mm-hmm. So
and I just thought that can I just say this huge surprise because I thought they were saving Reed and protecting him for Lashley or Drew or Cody or somebody like that, you know?
Right. So next was I guess the main event time. Seth and AJ against Dating Priest and Balor. 13 minutes. I watched this. It was pretty good because these guys work good. Rollins, Styles, Priest put Styles out of the Razor's Edge and had the pin, but Rollins returned and hit the stomp on Priest to break it up. Then Rollins went to his corner, waited until Styles tagged him in. Then Rollins performed another stomp on Priest and pinned him. Rollins and Styles celebrated their win while the broadcast team recapped the closing highlights of the match. And then they shook hands. And Rollins, as he raised the arm of Styles, then backed off and pointed at Rollins. What'd you think of this?
Let me tell you about WWE, what I've been liking about them a lot. They've been coming up with a lot of unique finishes, like the one with Pretty Deadly when he was on the ropes. Remember that one?
Right, yes.
And this one was great because the guy was covering him. I forgot who was covering AJ. It was Priest. Priest was covering AJ, right? And while he was covering him, he stomped him on the head. The guy popped over and he stomped him one more time and beat him. That was really creative. And what can you say when you got three of the best wrestlers of the last, few years with AJ, Seth, and Balor, and one who's headed that way, which is Priest? What's not to like? This was a really good main event match, and I mega popped when Ripley was looking at the crowd and the Seth slid out and hugged her. and posed with her before she realized it was him.
Yeah.
And he goes,
yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I popped.
They almost broke. They started cracking up a little bit too. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
That was good.
All right. So that's been
what do you guys think about Priest at this point? You know, he main evented the show in Puerto Rico, and now he's in the main event. You think he's possibly a top guy? You know, this remainder of this year, maybe he'll jump up to that spot, or think he's got it?
He's got it to be a top guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be this year.
Yeah.
So it's been our
grooming him. They're probably grooming him, you know, but he's done a great job with everything they've given him.
Yeah.
That's been our Raw review. Enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.